Hi everyone and welcome. So today I'm going to go over all the books that I plan to read in August. Now, if you've seen some of my previous TBRs and then the wrap-ups of that month, you know that I have big plans. I always have big dreams that I'm going to read a lot that month, and often I fail a little bit. So please know that this is my pile of opportunity. These are the books that I want to prioritize in August, but I won't make any promises that I will actually get to all of them in the next month. And I'm basically saying this because my wrap-up for July will be up in a couple of days and it's a little bit sad. However, let's focus on the positive here. I have a pile of books that I want to read physically and I have a pile of books that I will listen to on audiobook. So without further ado, let's get into the first book. And my shame for July will already be a little bit apparent here because I still need to finish Tower Lord by Anthony Ryan, the second book in the Raven's Shadow trilogy that I should have read in July as part of our read-along. But the discussion is on August 8th on my channel, so I will be done with the book by then. And I am already 100 pages in, really enjoying it, so I hope it will stay that way and I will love it as much as Bloodsong, even though I think that that's difficult, but at least I will enjoy it, then I'm happy. And then, of course, I also need to read Queen of Fire because this is the book that we will read in August for this read-along. And this is also the last one in the trilogy. So you know that I loved Bloodsong. Can't wait to actually read these two and then finally finish the trilogy. It's surreal. I've been reading this trilogy for a year now, so happy to finish it. And yes, I need to read these two books physically. So let's hope that I'll succeed, but I have good hopes. And then the next book that I will read is also as part of a read-along, but this one is actually starting this month, so if you want to, you can still hop on. And that is for the Ash and Sand read-along by Richard Nell. So this is Kings of Paradise, the first book in the trilogy, and this is definitely grimdark. I don't really know a lot other than that. Besides that, you have two main characters, and I think that they are both fighting for the throne. It's a little bit of a coming-of-age story in a sense. But it's definitely grimdark. The first chapter, and I don't think that this is a spoiler because literally the first page you will read this, it talks about a man who is going to eat a child. Now the child is already dead, so that does make things better, but still, it shows that it has some quite dark topics. So really looking forward to this one, and I think that Stacey is doing reading sprints for this book. I think this weekend to start our read-along. I'm not quite sure when it is, but I will link all of the information and the links that you need if you want to join down below. Now, we are definitely going out of order here because this is actually the next book that I will be picking up, and that is The Mirror's Truth by Michael R. Fletcher. So this is the second book in his Manifest Delusion series, I think it's called. The first one is Beyond Redemption, and I read that last month as part of the Book of the Month by Steve. We had a spoiler-filled discussion with the author for that book. We will do the same for this one, so I'm quite excited for that. And I will be hosting reading sprints to start off this book. Again, information down below. And I'm not reading police, so if you want to read another book during the sprints, of course, you're free to do so. Let us know what book you are reading and join us for the sprints. So I'm quite looking forward to this one because it had such a unique world, such a unique magic system where you have a lot of mental disorders that actually form reality and influence reality, where actually the insane people are the ones who have magic and the sane people don't. So definitely also a dark world, of course, and I'm quite excited to see what happens with the main characters after how the story left in the first book. So looking forward to this one, and especially to the reading sprints because it's the first time that I am hosting those. So I love reading sprints and I want to especially get into this book pretty soon. And then we have one that I'm unfortunately not that excited about, and that is Rat by John Gwynne. Rat is a very difficult word for me to pronounce, so I hope that you understand. Rat. That's how it's called. Now, this is the last book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, and I am hosting a read-along together with Steve for this series, but I'm not liking it that much. Now, I must say, okay, this is not a review. It's just not the type of book that I'm looking forward to, but I want to see how it ends because the ending of Ruin was very unpredictable. So I would like to see what happens in this one and if it might redeem the series for me. But at this point, I'm not the biggest fan. Luckily, this is the last book because all of these are quite thick. So if this was the middle of the series, I would have had a hard time to continue. But since it's the last one, I'm still invested and I still want to know what happens and how the story ends. So I'm a little bit excited, but I'm also a little bit dreading it, to be honest. And then the last physical book that I plan to read, either this or next month, and that is Piranesi by Susanna Clark. Now, this is one that was my BookTube spin pick for, I think it was July August and September. So I can still read it this or next month, but I'm quite looking forward to it. It's really thin, it's like 200 pages, so I should be able to read it and maybe do a 24-hour reading vlog for this one, if I can really push myself a little bit and read it in one day. And I don't really know a lot about it, but a lot of people say that it's just beautiful, that it reads as literary fiction, but it's fantasy, and just that it's very special, very unique. So I'm definitely looking forward to that and to see if I like it as much as everybody who I've seen talking about it on BookTube does. So then for the audiobooks, I have 4 that I plan to listen to. The first one is The Forgotten Kingdom by Sidney Pike. This one has been on my TBR for 2 months now, but both Chris and I, so I'm buddy reading this with Chris over at Chris Bookish Cauldron, we just don't have the time to read at this moment, or if we read, we're just not picking this one up, but we are going to start tomorrow, so it's definitely happening. This is the second book in the Forgotten Queen trilogy, which is historical fantasy. It's very reminiscent of Juliet Marillier's works. You know this, I talked about this book a lot, and I just have a feeling that I'm going to like this one as much as the first book, so quite excited for that. Then I have a standalone, and that is The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reid. So this is also her first book, I think, that she's published, so a debut author. Quite looking forward to this one because it's a little bit of a Red Riding Hood retelling, I think, and it also has some romance. So in this one, you follow a girl who has been given up by her village because she has this weird magic and they don't really trust her, because once a year they need to sacrifice a girl to the wolf. However, it appears that when she is then finally sacrificed, that this wolf is not a wolf, but it's a man, and they live in the woods together, something like that. I don't really know what happens after that. I think that this is a little bit enemies to lovers. It sounds good, it sounds interesting, and I think that I will love it. It's a standalone, so why not give it a try? And then again, one that I have been wanting to read for way too long, and that is The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst. So I am going to pick this one up in August for sure, because the Bookish Mom is actually doing a read-along or a reading thing where she wants people to read as many Sarah Beth Durst books in August to get people to know this author a little bit more, to hopefully discover a new author that they like, because Sarah Beth Durst is amazing. I've already read Raise the Sands by her, another standalone, loved it. In this one we are following a widow who is going to try to get her lost husband, well, her deceased husband, back from the dead using, I suppose, bone magic. It sounds really interesting, and again, it's a standalone. I like Sarah Beth Durst, so I really want to get this one, and then especially in August because of the read-along. And then the last book is definitely a chunker, and that is Magician by Raymond E. Feist. So I wanted to try Feist for a while now. I am sort of taking a break from The Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb, not because I'm not loving it, but because I want to really savor my time with Fitz and with everybody else. And we are going to start the Rainwild Chronicles after this. So I think that I am going to take a break for a couple of months before I make progress into that series. This is another very big series. It's a little bit like The Realm of the Elderlings, where you have a long series of 30 books or something like that, but it is split up into smaller series. So this is the beginning of the whole series, but it's also the beginning of the trilogy. I think that this is very traditional fantasy, where you have, again, a chosen one and things happen. What is it? War has come, of course. Somebody wants to train as a warrior, but he's Puck, he's the orphaned kitchen boy. I always mix up this one and then Sorrow and Thorn series by Ted Williams, Memory, Sorrow, Thorn, because it's so similar. It sounds very similar, but this is about the kitchen boy, and he's becoming a master magician, or he's an apprentice in the beginning, but he's very powerful. So I do hope that I will like this one, because I have a feeling that I will like traditional fantasy, but if it's too much action, like The Faithful and the Fallen, I'm not going to like it. So fingers crossed that I'm liking this one. And it's a chunker. It's 800 plus pages. So definitely a lot of audio time. So those were all the books that I plan to read in August. I think that I have, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 10 books on my TBR. I never read 10 books a month. So one of them, multiple of them, will probably not pass. And I will, again, have a wrap-up of shame, but so be it. I'm very excited for all of these, minus maybe the ending in the Faithful and the Fallen series, but still, I hope it will redeem itself in the end. And yeah, that's basically my TBR. Please let me know what you plan to read in August, and if you have the same problem as me, where you have a lot of books on your TBR and you never get to all of them. As always, I hope that you enjoyed the video, and see you next time. Bye!